In a dystopian future, it is a crime to be single, and one needs to have a partner to perfectly exist in the world. People are subject to legal penalties if they do not travel everywhere with their spouses. The recently single individuals are sent to a hotel where, over the period of 45 days, they will have the opportunity to find love. If they can't find one, they can use a contemporary method to transform into whatever animal they choose. David, an architect, is shown in the hotel to look for a new companion because his wife recently left him for another man. David is with Bob, his dog, who was formerly his brother but underwent a metamorphosis due to the lack of a loving partner. To check into the hotel, David signs a document and is interrogated by a hotel service member. The pair should share a distinguishing quality, according to dating conventions. Being short-sighted is what makes David unique, thus he should search for a spouse that shares this trait. In addition, David discloses that after 11 years of marriage, his wife left him for a less visionary guy. The manager and her husband then show him to his room and educate him on the hotel's policies. When the manager asks what type of animal he will want to be if he didn't find a partner, David tells the manager that he would like to be a lobster since they are prolific and can live for over a century. He continues by saying that he enjoys swimming and the ocean. His choice of animal is praised by the management, who points out that most people choose dogs, which has an impact on the ecology and the animal food chain. The hotel maid cuffs one of David's hands before they go in order to prevent him from indulging in ways that are against the hotel policy. He befriends two men the next day at breakfast, Robert, who talks with a lisp, and John, who walks with a limp. They are both looking for girls who share their characteristics. When scouting, they spot a callous lady and a woman whose nose always bleeds. However, nobody has the same qualities as them. The singles are later called upon to speak during an assembly and discuss their special talents. John claims that after seeing his mother, who had transformed into a wolf, he had a limp. His wife passed away a while ago, which is why he is here. The others also spoke about their experiences. The signals are given chances to speak with possible partners throughout the day. When David invites the nosebleed girl to dance with him at a party, he discovers that they are not alike. They are then summoned to go hunt the loners in the woods. The individuals who fled the hotel to avoid being transformed into animals are the loners. They establish a colony and remain in the woods since the city police would send them back to the hotel. It is permissible for the singles to hunt them down and shoot them using tranquilizers. The loners are then returned to the hotel and given animal transformations. As a reward for bringing a loner in, their number of days in the hotel will increase by the number of loners they bring. David catches nothing on the first day, indicating that his days are passing quickly. The ruthless lady, who takes down around 10 targets in a single hunt, is the finest hunter among the singles, and she's without any human feelings of some sort. They are motivated to find a mate more quickly since the hotel has strange regulations stating that the maid should wake the guys in the middle of the night. Robert's hand is burned in a toaster when he is discovered to be pleasuring himself with a lube. David finds himself seated beside a woman whose favorite food is butter biscuits during their subsequent quest. She converses with David, but he doesn't seem interested in her, despite her advances at him. She says throughout their conversation that if she doesn't find a mate in time, she intends to commit the unthinkable by jumping out of her room's window. In the pool, John approaches the nosebleed girl and lies about how often his nose bleeds. John and the nosebleed girl are declared a pair and given a double room for the next evening party. A few days later, the girl with the butter cookies leaps out of her window and ends her life. The merciless girl sees her moan in agony but does not move to assist her. David approaches the callous girl, pretending as though he doesn't care about people's lives either, as he just has a week left to find himself a girl. The lady is drawn to David because she is searching for someone who lacks feelings, much like her. They spend some time together, chatting, and David continues to perform. When they are in a hot tub one day, the lady pretends to be dead to see whether David notices, but he remains seated, giving her no attention at all. The woman begins dating him after realizing that he is genuinely similar to her. They're even placed in a double room together and given access to activities like tennis and dining at a table for two that are exclusively available to couples. After a few days together, the heartless girl discovers that David is displaying feelings when they have personal moments. She puts him to the test one morning by killing his sibling dog with kicks. At first, David claims there is no issue, but later, the woman discovers him sobbing in the restroom. Before she can take him to the manager for lying, David uses a tranquilizer gun to render her unconscious. His former maid helps him pull her through the corridors and swears she won't tell anybody. David considers repeatedly hitting her in the stomach as retaliation for his brother's death, but ultimately decides on a different strategy. After escorting her to the transformation chamber, he and the maid change her into an animal. After that, David finally leaves the hotel by running to the woods. He encounters a bunch of loners and their leader, though the leader is just as merciless as the hotel manager. If the loners engage in romantic or sexual connections with one another, she punishes them. They also notify David that two people's lips were hacked off a few days earlier because they were flirting. After they explain the rules, he is accepted to the group. When one of the lone ladies with black hair and short sight, similar to David, first sees him, she is drawn to him. Nevertheless, she only communicates with him as a friend according to the loner's rule. Robert captures David in the evening when the hotel guests arrive for the hunt. Despite David's attempts to spare his life by saying that he is his best friend, Robert is still determined to bring David in, saying he has 2 days left in the hotel. David is saved from death by the black-haired girl stabbing Robert from behind. We witness the hotel maid greeting the leader loner at the same moment. As it happens, the two get together each time she goes hunting to let the leader know what's happening at the hotel. Despite her dissatisfaction with her spouse, the maid refuses to leave him since she will eventually check into the hotel. Thus, she intends to invade and seize control of the hotel with the leader. Every month, 2 loners from the community go outside to the city to buy food and other necessities while posing as a couple. David and the girl with the black hair are taken by the leader and her companion this time. A policeman queries David, who is alone himself at the mall, about his partner and needs to see his marriage license. However, the girl with black hair protects him from the force. The loners eventually prepare to attack the hotel a few days later. That evening, with the maid's assistance, they get inside and kidnap the manager and her spouse. If the husband wants to preserve his own life, they advise him to shoot his wife. The man shoots his wife without hesitation since he has no regard for her. However, as it turns out, the couple was kidnapped to demonstrate to them that they are in a hollow relationship and that the pistol was unloaded. Concurrently, David tells the nosebleed girl that he is pretending to have a nosebleed so they may be together. After establishing their point, the loners quickly depart and head back into the woods. The maid goes out with the lone group that night. Over the course of the following several days, David and the girl with black hair become closer and develop a fondness for one another. To be together, they even have plans to flee from the group. All of this is recorded by the girl in her journal. However, the leader reads the journal and finds out about their romance before they can carry out their plan. She doesn't confront them despite being furious at their treachery. Rather, a few days later, she brings the girl with black hair to the city, saying she would treat her short-sightedness, but inadvertently causes her blindness. The girl with the dark hair discovers what is happening and attempts to murder the leader after making her way back to the woods. Instead, she ends up killing the hotel maid in the effort. She is spared by the leader, who lets her travel to David. She attempts to disguise her blindness at first, but eventually she admits it. Since they no longer share any characteristics, she fears that he will leave her. Although he is uneasy, David chooses to stay with her and assists her with her other senses like touch and scent. They search for other similarities for the following few days, but they are unable to locate any. David proposes that they murder the commander and flee the woods because he can't let go of her. Finally, they carried out their plan. David abducts the leader and puts her into an open grave. After some while, she is approached by some wild dogs who begin to eat her body. He gets dressed and flees the woods with the girl with the dark hair. They eventually come to a stop in a downtown restaurant. Since David has chosen to become blind, their attributes complement one another. After deliberating over the choice for some time, they ask the waiter for a knife. David gets up to go blind himself in the restroom, but he pauses in the middle, thinking of his next